following program is brought to you by Heineman Vitamins. 3 out of 2 doctors recommend Heineman Vitamins for their patients. Do the math.
Next on AM 1480 WLEA, the Newsmaker Show. Here's Brian O'Neill.
Well, that's a lot more math than my students can handle, but sounds good.
So glad to have you with us, Dr. Bob.
Well, it's always a pleasure to be invited. It's an honor to be able to participate in the ongoing discussions we have.
So many things to talk about.
A few here and there, yes.
Can we start out with Governor Andrew Cuomo's statement from the other day?
Well, we can talk about that. It's just, I don't know where Governor Cuomo got his history and his history lessons. But we're looking at his statement that America really hasn't been that great. Now, his history lessons are one thing, but I really wonder where, and again, this goes back to Hochul's big faux pas with Jereme Williams and their claim that, the man is in debt, his little company went bankrupt, whatever, and the blowback that came from that. Now somebody has told Cuomo, and I'm thinking this is some sort of, somebody's put together a speech. What we're going to do is say, we can make America much greater than Donald Trump wants to make it. And that's all right, but you don't start out by saying, we're a bunch of, what are we, chopped liver here? I mean,
now,
yes. So I think you better get a new PR guy or campaign director here. Yes.
New York Post says this is not going to go away anytime soon.
No, I think
won't
not.
Forget it. It's going to be a commercial.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be brought up in debates.
Yes. No, I think it puts him on the defensive, and that's not a spot where you want to be in any kind of campaign. I think he's on the whole Cuomo effort here is on the verge of imploding. I think part of this is his concern about the criticisms from Cynthia Nixon and other left-wing progressive types who aren't happy with him at all.
Zephyr Teachout and Cynthia Nixon.
Teachout, Cortez, de Blasio. I mean, there are plenty of people out there that are pretty critical. And if this guy Williams defeats Hochul for the lieutenant governor spot, the problem Cuomo has is that Hochul is already on the ticket on a number of other lines. And so he's going to have this weird situation where he's got a couple different people running for lieutenant governor with him in the general election. It could get, to put it mildly, out of hand. And I'm thinking his whole campaign is beginning to respond in a rather stressful, tense fashion, and I think that's why you're getting this sort of thing. You look for cues in these kinds of situations, Brian, and that is a cue. I think that things are a little tense.
Well, now he seems to put in getting out of the situation and trying to fix it up, damage control. He seems to send out a lot of emails saying Mr. Trump wants to take us back to the days of slavery, segregation, and so on and so forth.
Well, that's total garbage. Everybody knows that's total garbage. I mean,
that does not hurt him so much in New York State with the Democrat voters. Does it hurt him with national candidates for the White House?
I think when you start spewing garbage like that, it hurts you even in New York State. Now, the typical Clinton response to this sort of situation would be to attack, and unfortunately right now they really don't have much to attack, but attack Molinaro for something that he's done or make some sort of scurrilous charge about his sex life or some other scam. In other words, you try to immediately train the focus from the total screw-up that you've made to something on the opponent's side. But in case of Molinaro, I think that's kind of hard to do, and I guess you can go ahead and throw all you want at Trump. That's not going to make much difference. So he's got a problem there, no question.
As far as the other candidates in the running for governor, and there's a few, who does this help most?
It helps Molinaro. I don't think there's a question about that. I don't think it helps Nixon much at all, because she's
been kind of quiet on this.
She may well, she's kind of letting him dissolve on his own. But it certainly is going to help Molinaro. People are not going to forget that, and he's going to be continually. He's going to have to come up with all these kind of scenarios with how great America really has been, and not that Trump is running against Cuomo. He's already challenged Cuomo to run. His view is that Cuomo can't go very far at all, and I think he's right. So that's about enough for that. I think we ought to talk.
Okay, can we talk about Paul Manafort?
Well, I don't have much to say there. I really don't have much to say. I mean, defense rested without taking a position. Normally, when the defense does that, they feel that the prosecution clearly has not proven their case beyond a reasonable doubt. And you simply confuse the issue and obscure the problems with the prosecution's case by, mounting a defense. So they must feel that the prosecution's case is pretty weak in terms of what the jury thinks. Now, it's also possible they don't want to get Manafort on the stand, although they don't have to anyway. But some of the witnesses and such might cause them even more difficulty. I don't know.
Tucker Carlson on Fox News Channel pointed out that the average prison sentence for tax evasion is a year and 3 months in prison, and then if Manafort goes to jail, if he's convicted on all charges, it would be over 300 years.
That's a long time, yeah. You have to take
Tucker
some
Carlson
Heineman vitamins.
Is saying this is highly unfair, and only because of Manafort's connections to Donald Trump.
Yeah. I don't think there's any question about it. The problem is, again, I cannot emphasize enough that these charges have nothing to do with Donald Trump. They are charges about Manafort's financial misconduct and things of that sort previous to his taking over the Trump campaign. So we'll just have to see, again, how the jury takes this. I think from the defense's point of view, all they need to do is get 2 or 3 jurors hung up there, and then it moves toward a mistrial. I think we do have to talk about the Congressman Collins case.
Yeah, that was next on my list.
Oh, was it?
Collins.
Okay, yeah, well... I think I may have misled the audience a little bit last time we talked about it, because this whole operation is pretty confusing. And I think the number one issue right now, you have all these people lining up thinking they want to get a shot at that seat. Number one, you have to have a vacancy. And the Republicans are scurrying around trying to find some way they can get Collins' name off the ballot. And, of course, the ballots haven't been printed yet. I think I was confused when I was talking to the audience previously, because you've got not only the state elections, which are coming up in September, but, of course, the primaries and everything for the congressional elections have already been held. But, again, in terms of printing the ballots, they don't have to be printed. Well, they can't be printed until after the state primaries. So there's time to get Collins off the ballot. The question is how you're going to do it. And I'm not sure they have a clear idea. And in any case, whatever they try, clearly the Democrats will sue them, claiming they can't take his name off the ballot. Now, the other alternative is just to leave his name on the ballot and run him like they did in O.J., who had died, who shot himself, was dead, and O.J. won the general election, and then they came in with an appointment. But I don't know if they really don't want to do that. The Republicans want to hold on to that seat, and the Democrats want it pretty badly. Now, let's say they get Collins off, and that there's a vacancy there. Then it's not the Committee on Vacancies that comes into play. That comes into play previous to the primary, but the primary's already been held here. Collins has been nominated as a Republican. So if it becomes vacant, it's the county chairs who meet in that district, and there's quite a few of them actually. But the basic figures and calculations are that I believe that Langworthy, the chairman from Erie County, has 42% of the vote, and then I believe the chairman from Niagara has another 16 or 17% of the vote. So we're talking about those two chairs having, 60% of the vote in picking who will fill that spot. So it's going to be, that's the way it's going to be. Now, apparently they had a meeting in Geneseo on Wednesday
with the various candidates.
Yeah, except Galvin wasn't there.
Yeah. And
so
he seems to be the leading candidate.
I think he is clearly
the
guy I would want in there. There's no question about it. First of all, he's unopposed in his race for the state senate. So there's no Democrat. If he steps into the congressional seat, all the Republicans have to do is stick somebody in there. And the Democrats don't have anybody running, so whoever they stick in there is going to win.
And a new poll shows that Nate McMurray, the Democrat candidate for the Congressman Chris Collins' seat in Buffalo, Nate McMurray is 20 points behind, according to this poll. He's 20 points. Nate McMurray is 20 points behind Pat Gallivan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, Gallivan's a very popular guy. He ran for sheriff in Erie County. I think he won 2 terms as sheriff, and of course now he's a state senator and he's a very pleasant fellow. I met him several times. He'd be a very good candidate for Congress. But I don't know, there's all Palladino's got his name in there. I mean, they're just, and the guy from Batavia, Balcavia, or what's his name?
David
Bellavia. I mean, there's all kinds of Holly, the assemblyman up there. So it's very hard to tell how all this is going to fall. But those are the steps, and I guess first and foremost, you got to have a vacancy in that spot. So that's about the best I can do right now, folks. I guarantee you everybody's scurrying around on this one.
Can we hopscotch back to Washington topic?
Hopscotch, yeah, that's a familiar term.
Yes. Former CIA head John Brennan loses his security clearance. Brennan will no longer get intelligence briefings. Conservatives say that Brennan has abused his privileges because he works for CNN and constantly talks Trump down. Liberals and Brennan both say that this is a First Amendment violation. Your take?
No, the president has every right to do that. I mean, his executive power over national security and foreign affairs is very extensive. And there are some Supreme Court decisions that really lay that out. This guy Brennan, I think, has used the term treasonous to describe Trump. Yeah,
yes.
So get out of here. Go find something else to do. No, I don't think he has any right to security clearance.
On a similar note, the Boston Globe is leading a anti-Trump campaign.
Oh.
Boston Globe's asking newspapers all over the country to protest against Trump because President Trump has been critical of the press. What's going on here? Why does the Boston Globe think they have First Amendment rights, but the president doesn't? What's going on?
No, I mean, what do you mean First Amendment rights? The president doesn't.
Well, they think they can speak, but he can't defend himself when they slam him all over the place.
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody in Boston recently who said that they never walk past a newspaper stand where the Boston Globe is, where the Globe doesn't have an anti-Trump story on the front page, and they never did that to Obama.
No, that's hard to believe. Yeah,
imagine that.
Yeah. No, Trump has every right to fire back, but I guess the newspapers have every right to boycott Trump if they want to. And I suppose in some ways that would be a rather telling blow to Trump, because the advantage that Trump has had has been his ability to be on the front page of newspapers and be on the news stories of the media across the country. So you people concerned about his obnoxious behavior, the whole idea of the obnoxious behavior is to get as much press time as he can. So if the papers were in fact able to boycott him effectively, I suppose it would hurt his ego, such as it is. But I'll tell you, Brian, his performance a week ago Tuesday there in Kansas and Ohio, I'm telling you, I see that the governor, or the guy he came in and supported in Kansas, who was quite a ways behind in the polls and came from behind to win, and has now won the primary for Kansas governor. And I must say the incumbent, who is also a Republican, has been very generous in saying, well, and it's only like 350 votes difference, but he said, you've won, and I'll do everything I can to help you win the general election. So Trump's energy and coming to the state there clearly, I think, turned the tide, and I think it did in the congressional race in Ohio as well. So that I don't see anybody saying Balderson hasn't won. And I would think if there's any tightening of that margin, the newspapers and everybody would be all over it, but there doesn't seem to be any movement there at all. So his energy level and his ability to come in there and pull people from behind, I mean, it's I don't know why any of these Republicans I think they should be getting the picture here.
We're going to take a quick break. We're going to be back with Dr. Bob.
This weekend in Hornell, it's the annual Irish Festival, Friday and Saturday, August 17th and 18th at the St. Anne's grounds. There'll be music, dancing, fiddlers, food and fun this weekend, and just a $2 admission price. It starts at 5:30 p.m. both Friday and Saturday at the St. Anne's grounds in Hornell.
Checking in now with meteorologist Rob Carroll. We just heard the commercial for the Hibernian Festival, 5:30 tonight, 5:30 tomorrow night. How's it looking, Rob?
Well, weather-wise, Brian, I can tell you from the start, it looks like tomorrow is going to be a much better night because we don't have to worry about rain. We're actually going to be clearing the weather out, dropping the humidity, and getting some sunshine in. So it looks fine from 5:30 on tomorrow evening. This evening's a different story. We've got this storm headed up into the central Great Lakes, and that's going to be triggering showers and thunderstorms. We've already had some go by this morning, and more are in the forecast for the afternoon and evening hours. So if you're headed to the Hibernian Festival, certainly take along an umbrella and plan on spending some time under the tents. We will be looking at scattered showers and storms at times today, especially through the afternoon. We're 80 to 85. We're looking at a sunrise this morning, Brian, at 6:20. Sunset tonight at 8:08. Now, there will be showers and storms crossing the area tonight. We're 65 to 70. Any showers will taper off and end tomorrow morning. It'll become partly sunny, cooler, drier tomorrow, 75 to 80. Partly cloudy tomorrow night, 60. And for Sunday, partial sunshine. Temperatures on Sunday around 80 degrees.
We're back with Dr. Bob. Omarosa, the woman who worked for President Trump for a while,
right,
who was fired by Chief of Staff John Kelly. Omarosa went around secretly recording Trump and others without their knowledge, and now is putting recordings out there and threatening, making threats about other recordings. Your thoughts?
I think this is pretty sick. Apparently she has a book coming out, and this is an attempt to give publicity to her book, which I think is probably not going to sell particularly well. I think recording secretly conversations in the Situation Room is, in fact, a violation of national security. The whole point is that that sort of thing is just not allowed in the Situation Room because there's all kinds of things going on there. I mean, it just totally goes over the boundary. And I don't know why Kelly fired her, but I would suspect that the behavior of this kind was already occurring in various areas, and Kelly wanted her out of there. It's pretty sick, and I'm hoping her book doesn't sell well at all. And apparently the tapes she has so far that I've seen are really not. There's not much there at all. But the very act of doing that, you just can't allow that, and it's just too bad. But
Dr. Bob, we got to go. I got to go get some of those Heineman vitamins.
Yeah. Well, I'll do what I can for you on that, Brian.
Thanks, Doc.
Okay.